are listening to Disrespect Podcast. This is episode 10, the long-awaited return of the pinnacle, classic, proverbial, verbial Disney podcast on the internet. I am your host, Zach Kaplan, and joining me, as always, is Martin Short's biggest fan, Jordan Payne.
Am I supposed to, do I say something, or it's been a while since we've done this, so.
Yeah, that works.
Okay.
And then today we have a special guest. He's famous on Twitter for running the Wonders of Life Twitter, the only Twitter account I can think of that covers Wonders of Life. We're just going to call him Martin Short.
Yay. Hello.
All right, so...
That was a poor introduction.
No, that's okay. So usually I write out an outline of what I'm going to go over, but I was very sick yesterday, so I didn't know, I was thinking about, getting my life affairs in order in case I died, so I didn't write anything out. So I'm just going to start off with, the big news today was Bob Iger was throwing some shade at, crap, what's his name? Jordan, what's the name of the guy with the earring?
Joe Rohde?
Joe Rohde?
Yeah, Joe Rohde. So, Bob Iger was saying that he doesn't like attractions that aren't themed to things that you know of from a movie. Yeah, Jordan, what do you think?
So he said India, but was he referring to Expedition Everest? Because Expedition Everest has nothing to do with India.
He wasn't specifically saying anything for Expedition
Is that just a
Everest,
country
but,
name? Yeah.
yeah. So people kind of took that as him throwing shade at Expedition Everest, and it blew up.
Well, Animal Kingdom is... It's Africa, Asia, and then Nepal, and I guess it's kind of... I don't know.
There's some of India there.
It was well, because they have, the tigers... Though you can never see them because they're always asleep. But, he was definitely... I think it might have not been intentional because, honestly, I don't think he would be able to recall what Expedition Everest is without one of his PR people telling him what it is.
That's very true.
But it's been a rough day. I just figured I'd start off on that note. It was big news.
Yeah.
He did respond on Twitter. I mean, I doubt it was him. I don't think he controls
It actually
Twitter.
was him. It was from his verified account, but it could have just been a PR person saying something.
Yeah, so he responded, but I don't know if that was actually him who wrote it.
Did he have a hashtag #DizTwitter in his response?
No. It was the actual Robert Iger profile. It's just I kind of doubt that it was him on his phone, doing it, and not just a PR person who runs his account. All right. Well, on that note, I'm gonna jump into our main focus this episode, which is on Wonders of Life. Martin Short here, he runs the Wonders of Life Twitter fan page. What is it called?
It's called the Wonders of Life fan base.
Wonders of Life fan base. I'm just looking at it so I don't... Run by Martin Short, a.k.a. @DreamfinderGuy. So, Wonders of Life. Why Wonders of Life?
Well, the fan page started because, what eventually became the fan page was I was just talking a whole bunch about Wonders on my main account, so that I'm like, maybe I should just do a fan page on this. So, me and Jake Arquez on Twitter, who has a YouTube channel now that's, I believe, Jake Ace, but he went to Disney and he went and urban explored Body Wars. I believe he was the first video to be put out on it. So I contacted him. We started this idea for a fan page. He made a couple posts. I did the majority of the work. And then he left, and it's just kind of blown up since then. So I do an obscure post every Wednesday, and sometimes other things along the lines, or whenever there's Wonders news, or whenever I'm in the park around Wonders. But it grew to be a lot bigger than I expected, and we're sitting at 1,261 followers now.
So, a couple weeks ago, well, I've been trying to do this episode for a couple weeks, and I personally kept dropping the ball. Um, but it was a couple weeks ago, a big Wonders news story broke out when Buzzy disappeared. Um, so for those who aren't aware, that pavilion closed in 2007, and it's been pretty much left abandoned. Um, all they really do now is when they do their, other weekly, like every other week, Epcot has a festival, and so they'll put stuff in there, but like the attractions themselves were just left abandoned. And one of the attractions was Cranium Command, which was like you're inside a kid's head, and there's like this guy named Buzzy, and he's controlling him. Um, yeah. But the audio animatronic was still there, and about what was it, a week or 2 weeks ago, he was reported stolen, or at least that's what was put on Twitter. But I guess it might have just been his clothes that were stolen. Um, do you want to take the reins on that one? Because I've been a little unclear. Because at first I thought it was just a joke, like that they had finally brought him to the archives. I didn't realize he actually was stolen.
So, do you want me to go ahead and
Yeah,
say the story
yeah,
here?
yeah.
All right. So, basically, what happened is, let me just start from the top here. Is on November 28th, Backdoor Disney had said to me that he had heard from someone that Buzzy was stolen. He sent me this screenshot from a Disney investigator who had said, "Hey, did you hear someone stole Buzzy?" to somebody, and said the whole animatronic is gone. And so I kind of freaked out, and I said, "Can I say something on the Wonders page?" And he's like, "Nah, you should probably keep this on the down low right now." So, long time passes, and then Orange County Sheriff's gets a search warrant for Backdoor's house. He takes down his Twitter page, and he tells me, "Hey, you should make a post saying that Buzzy got stolen, and make an update on where I've been." So I did that. I went up on Twitter saying, "Hey, as it turns out, Buzzy's gone. That's why Backdoor's gone," and he said that he might make a return. I honestly don't know if he will or not. He probably won't. But then I kind of tried to get the hashtag #FindBuzzy started, and then basically it slowly blew up, and then it just went everywhere. And now it's a huge story. I've been trying to kind of steer away from it, but it's just kind of been blowing up. There have been new breaks in the story, from the rumor of Backdoor stealing his clothes, which I think he probably did, and it's been a lot.
Yeah. I mean, I just Twitter searched Backdoor Disney. Allegedly, he was arrested at Epcot.
Hmm.
So,
He wasn't arrested at Epcot.
outside of Epcot,
What
somewhere
had
in
happened
Orlando.
was he was arrested for resisting an officer. It was a nonviolent charge, misdemeanor, and it was for he didn't want to give his phone to them, which I believe they still have his phone.
That sucks. Um, yeah. So you got involved. Well, I mean, you didn't steal Buzzy or anything, but you got involved via, starting the hashtag, and it
Yeah, and
really did blow up.
I kind of wish I didn't get involved either, because another person who I won't name for privacy reasons, I don't know if he would want me to or not, so just not going to say that.
Are we
He had
talking
also-
about the one who called you a snowflake terrorist supporter?
Oh, that idiot? His account got deleted, but no, not him.
Oh.
But somebody else who was also in contact with Backdoor Disney had also heard the whole Buzzy was stolen thing, and he was trying to leak the news, and that was right before Backdoor told me to say something. So I kind of wish I would have just kept my mouth shut and let him say whatever, but I didn't, and now it's huge, and I got tied to the story. It's a lot.
Hopefully, you don't.
Did
have
you
to,
have-
flee the country or anything
I don't think I
WikiLeaks
will.
guy. Okay.
I haven't done anything bad, but I also don't think Disney's very happy with me putting that information out there.
Did you get contacted by anyone outside of Twitter after this happened?
Uh, no, not yet, but I've got to admit I'm kind of nervous. I haven't done
No,
anything,
no, you haven't
but
done
that
anything.
also wouldn't stop
But
Disney.
no,
Hmm.
I was just wondering if anyone was asking you, hey, how much do you know this guy? That kind of thing.
Yeah, nobody said anything yet.
I mean,
I
now
heard
that your
Russia
name,
had something to do with it.
yeah, Russia, now that your name is out there, they're gonna be looking for Martin Short. So, um,
Yeah, hopefully, good old Martin Short doesn't get his door beaten down.
By the Canadian authorities or wherever he's at.
yeah, Jordan, you
Yeah.
had a theory.
I think I saw it on CNN when they were talking about Buzzy being stolen because it got that big, and they were postulating that Russia had something to do with it, and it was during the Mueller investigations, and then right after Buzzy gets stolen, the government shuts down. It's a little weird if you ask me, but who knows?
I'm waiting to see what Mark Hamill has to say because when it comes to Russian collusion, he's kind of my source for information. I've been following Mark Hamill to just know what to think about politics. Um,
Luke Skywalker himself.
yeah,
Who else is better?
just letting us all take a deep
Okay,
breath.
okay. It's very deep and heavy subject matter. It's not something we wanted to discuss, but we felt that it was important to bring up, and these days it's important to talk about this type of stuff.
All right, so Martin, are you a Star Wars fan?
Ish. I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but I do like the movies and the franchise
All
itself.
right, because I had a topic for Jordan to discuss. You can feel free to chime in. Um, this is our Star Wars Rebels update. Shit, what's the show called?
Rebels ended a couple, maybe a year ago, I think. So I think that's the update on Rebels. But there's a new show, relatively new, called Resistance, and no one I know watches it.
Okay, but I thought you said you had watched it.
I watched the pilot episode, and I watched the second episode, and I was gonna get around to the other ones, but there's like 10 episodes, and they're all kind of filler. It's not bad though. I've but it's still very much a show for children, so it's not meant for me. But there's still some good stuff in there.
All right, so that was our Star Wars Clone Wars
Uh,
update. Jordan, did you have anything to discuss before I go into my next topic?
let's see. We haven't had an episode since like September,
Oh, it's been
right?
much longer than that.
Okay, so what's happened since then? I think we should do a catch up on everything that's
All
happened
right,
since then.
so a couple people died. George H.W. Bush, he kicked the bucket. Um,
John
John
McCain.
McCain, yeah, he went the way of the dodo bird. Who else? Had
There was Christmas. There's Christmas, of course. You can't forget that.
nobody
That happened.
died.
Okay. Well, someone probably did die. It's just not we didn't hear about it.
Who Aretha Franklin, had she died when we recorded our last episode?
Yeah, yeah. That was like in March.
Okay. I'm trying to think.
There was a new year.
New Year, yeah.
What about Stan Lee?
Oh yes. How could we forget
Well, we're
Stanley?
trying to
I
talk
don't know
about
why
people
we
who
forgot
matter,
Stan Lee.
so um
Okay, cut that out. Cut that out.
no, yeah, I guess Stanley died. We can talk about that. I mean, when it comes to like making stuff and then having someone else take the credit, Stanley was pretty good at that. So, um yeah.
I did hear that they filmed a lot of footage of Stan Lee, so he's gonna be making cameos for the next 10 Marvel movies.
Well, they could do like a Weekend at Bernie's thing with his corpse, I don't I don't see that being out of the.
I think it's too late for that. It's a little. It's kind of been under the soil for a little too long. I think it's not fresh.
All right, let me. I'm trying to see when our last podcast was, so then I can pull up a list of.
Okay.
See, I wasn't prepared. I
Yeah, you really dropped the ball on this
yeah.
one.
I mean, you weren't the only one.
So Jordan's gonna be editing it. This editing it. Jordan Jordan will be taking this
Take your
podcast
time.
and putting it into a watchable, listenable audio file on YouTube. So he'll be editing.
Yeah, good luck editing all the static out of my audio.
He's gonna take all the empty bits and make something fun. All right, so the last episode. Oh wow, is it really this long ago?
Yeah, September.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's September because I was looking at the one before that. That was February. Last time we were here, you reviewed Pixar Pier. We talked about Star Wars Resistance. Yeah, I think we did. I think I've done that segment maybe the past 4 episodes. And what else? Oh, and then we talked about Downtown Disney and how that's a garbage fire. Since they closed everything and nothing opened.
I disagree. They opened back up Earl of Sandwich, and it's back and running. You could get your hot sandwiches. You could get the full Montague. You could get the holiday turkey sandwich. It's still there. It's back, better than ever. Earl of Sandwich at
What
downtown
I
Disney.
really appreciated about the Earl of Sandwich at Downtown Disney in Anaheim compared to Downtown Disney and Disneyland Paris is that at Disneyland Paris, they also had soft drinks, but they had a sign that said no refills. Um, and that was very difficult because when I went, it was actually quite warm. And, I wanted some Coke. And, I always usually fill up the cup with like half a cup of ice. I want to keep the drink cold. But it just made it difficult because I would drink the half cup of Coke and then I went to get a refill and it's like, oh, no refills. And, I'm a foreigner in that land, so I didn't want to, risk breaking any laws. But thankfully in Anaheim, you can pretty much get as much soda as you want. Um, this is kind of unrelated, but when's the last time you went to a Disney counter service installation that had self-serve soda? Each of you, because I do have somewhere I'm going with this.
Um, I,
Good question.
yeah, I don't drink soda, so I don't really pay attention to that. But now that you say that, I haven't really thought of anything besides like, I don't know, maybe somewhere has like a Coke Freestyle machine. But
Because I noticed I was down in Disney World in August, and what I noticed, and it was a little concerning, is the places that had the self-serve soda, the soda tasted much worse. Like you could tell they weren't keeping up on refilling the cancer juice that goes in the diet soda and the high fructose corn syrup tube. Jordan, what's the soda situation in Anaheim currently?
Well, it's been a while because one thing I wanted to bring up was that I let my pass expire, so I have not been back in the premises since November. But on my last day there, I did eat at Earl Sandwich, and that's technically not in the park, but they do have a self-serve soda thing, and I did not get a soda. I did not want to pay the extra money, and I don't usually eat inside the park. But at the soda machine, what type of soda machine was it?
It was a Coke machine, but it was not a Coke freestyle. It was just a Coke manual, I guess. Um,
Okay, maybe it just was just that one machine.
I don't know. It seems like throughout the trip, I went to be our guest, and they had a Coke machine, not a freestyle, but a self-service one, and that soda tasted awful. then I went to Animal Kingdom. Um, the soda there was fine, but the straws were made out of paper, so it also tasted gross. And of course, that's going to become more of a problem in the future as they get rid of plastic straws. But I don't know. It's difficult going to Disney these days.
I last time I was there, I usually ask for some water, and they give me a full cup full of water, and you could dump that out and go to the self-serve soda machines that they have at Rancho del Zocalo, I believe. And but I forgot to do that, so unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot to add to the soda discussion. So I think we're done with the soda discussion for now.
Okay. Jordan, what was your next topic?
Oh, I don't think I had one. I think I was gonna ask Wonders if he has a pass or how often he goes to the park or what's his local park like.
I normally go like every week or every 2 weeks, but I don't know. I'm normally at Epcot, but
Epcot, okay.
when you think about it, it's kind of a dead park. I just go there, take pictures around Energy and Wonders, and then like maybe like go ride Imagination and pretty much leave.
So what's the Wonders Pavilion like now? How much can you get in? How much is publicly accessible?
Well, you go in there and all of the main dome is accessible besides the center, which was never accessible in the first place, and the Body Wars extended queue, because that's like got a big long huge curtain covering it. So most of what's left of Wonders is just been painted over, because architecturally they pretty much got rid of almost everything.
And what's the soda situation like in... No, I'm just kidding.
Is the machinery for like the simulators and vehicles for Body Wars still there, or are those gutted out?
Okay, so weird story there. They were left there when the pavilion closed, and then after a while the hydraulics froze up and then they were just unusable anymore. They took some parts and used them just in case they ever needed to replace anything for Star Tours,
Ah,
and then just got like saws and literally cut it up and just threw it away. So probes 1, 2, and 3 were all just like removed in like 2009, 2010. And then in 2011, they used probe 4 for the testing of Star Tours 2, where they just like spliced in the audio to the systems. And then they took it down too, and kind of like sort of blew out some of the soundproof walls. A lot of it's still there for some reason. And it's just kind of been sitting there in a state of decay while they...
oh wow, I had no
You know,
clue
I
about
hate
that.
to be a wet blanket, but if you've been on Star Tours recently, it feels like a 20-year-old attraction at the very least. Um, I mean, I know it's old, but I feel like I've said this on previous episodes, but that screen in Star Tours 2 is so bad. Am I the only one who thinks that? Like, it's very low resolution.
Oh no, I agree. They could have upgraded to 4K or something like with
I mean,
Soren.
it's...
Like the
When
new
did it
Soren looks
reopen? In
amazing.
2010 or 2011? I mean, we're nearing... It's
2010.
2012. Was it 2010? I thought it was 2012.
It closed. In
I think it
2010.
opened in 2011. Reopened.
I thought it opened in 2012.
Yeah.
Oh, it was 2011 in Disneyland.
So, but we're nearing, what, a decade that it's been since it got refurbished. So, I mean, the whole point of when they reopened it was, well, when Star Tours originally opened, it was supposed to be that every like 3 years they could put in a new ride film, and then they never did that. And then finally they updated to Star Tours: The Adventures Continues, and that one they've somewhat consistently added new destinations. But I do think, yeah,
Two.
Crate and Jakku.
Well, 3.
What was
And Batu, but that's like an afterthought. It's a little preview.
what? Can you have you seen?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's at the very end after you escape crate. You land on Batu, and it's just like a preview for the Star
I think
Galaxy's
every
Edge.
time I've gone in pod racing, and um, it's usually pod racing. That's all I get. Sometimes it's just the pod racing, and they end the ride a minute early because they know I'm on it. It's a little annoying. Uh, yeah.
That's sad. Is the machinery used for Star Tours the exact same ones they've been using since the original Star Tours?
Um,
Yeah,
I
pretty
think so.
much.
Okay.
The actual ride system is exactly the same. I mean, they may have had to switch out parts, but
Yeah.
I mean, the technology for that ride is pretty antiquated at this point because it was basically a spin-off of things that were in malls in the early 80s, like simulator rides. They basically just took that and then gave it a Star Wars coat of paint. Well, Jordan, did you ever ride the Back to the Future ride? Was that ever in California? Was that was that like exactly the same as Star Tours, or was the ride system a little bit different?
It was a little bit different, actually, because the vehicle wasn't closed. It was, um, it had an open ceiling, and you were the screen was outside of the vehicle.
So it was like an IMAX screen, IMAX dome surrounding you, something like that.
I don't think it was in like it was. I went
it
on it when
was
I was
an
like three.
Omnimax
That's all I
dome with
remember.
separate controlled ride vehicles, which sat like 8 people each.
I'm trying to think. Well, this isn't simulator related, but Wonders of Life. When people usually talk about it, it's usually either Cranium Command or Body Wars. But there was a lot of other stuff there, especially in the early days.
Hmm.
Um, like live entertainment. I mean, they had Goofy About Health. I don't know if that was really live. I think someone was dressed up as Goofy in it.
No, it
I mean,
it wasn't
not.
it wasn't live. What it was they had a physical set with a bunch of TVs, and they played mainly like recycled old content from Goofy cartoons with a new narration and some new screens, and that's about it.
So there wasn't even like a guy dressed as Goofy walking
Mm-mm. It
around.
was it was a multimedia show. It was just a bunch of TVs with a physical set.
Oh, that's a lot lamer than I thought it was.
And then I believe
Um,
2009 they gutted the whole stage, and now it's just flat. And they do some presentations in there every once in a while.
yeah, I think they've used it for Destination D.
Yeah, the last time they used it was Joffrey's Coffee did a presentation there. And then they actually let people walk up onto the stage, and I kind of had that moment to look around, and there wasn't like a single remnant at all left.
They also used to have a ton of like interactive games at Wonders of Life.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think like the most memorable one is they had the TVs with the bikes.
The Wonder
and
Cycles.
basically yeah, the faster you go, the faster the movie would go.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, do you know about some of the other games they have there? Because I'm not really
Well,
familiar with.
the Wonder's interior dome was nicknamed the Fitness Fairgrounds. It had, on the far left of the dome was their gift shop, Well and Goods, followed by the Wonder Cycles, which was split in half by the Body Wars entrance, which had the Met Lifestyle Review and Coach's Corner, and then there was the Body Wars exit, followed by the Cranium Command exit and the Cranium Command entrance, and right in front of that was the first half of the Sensory Funhouse, which had an exhibit on hot and cold pipes and coils, the touchy subjects, which like you had to touch different things and guess what they were, and then it would tell you what they are after you're done with it. And then they had an exhibit on like reading in Braille, and the audio antics was you'd put on headphones and they played a scene, and you had to decipher what sound wasn't part of that scene, and it was kind of like an audio illusions thing. And then I think the most memorable thing there was their Apex room, which was called a room with a skew, where you could walk around and you'd look bigger or smaller based on what side of the room you were on. And they had like some optical illusions around there too.
I could be remembering this wrong, but didn't they have something where it would ask you questions like, "Do you smoke?
Yeah, that was the
How much do you
that was the
weigh?"
Met
And then it
lifestyle
would
review.
tell you like,
It would like tell you your
oh,
life
what did
expectancy.
it tell you? Man, that's like really fucked up to put in Disney World.
Well, I mean, right across from it was a literal sex ed movie, so
Yeah, but that's not telling you when you're gonna die. You know, a lot of the stuff at Epcot. I mean, maybe when it opened, it was fun, but like a lot of that stuff you can find at like science museums and children's museums, like those kind of interactive games.
and slight fact correction. What you were talking about with those the life expectancy thing, that wasn't technically part of the lifestyle review. That was computers that were across from Coach's Corner.
So it was. Where was it?
It was right across from Coach's Corner, so about 10 feet from the place that I said it was originally. That was just me screwing up a little.
Okay.
Actually,
Yeah.
I keep an entire Wonders photo archive, so I can dig around and see if I have a picture.
That's such a bizarre thing. The life expectancy. I mean, especially you think like a couple years ago they did at Innoventions this thing called Habit Heroes,
Mhm.
and there was a huge backlash because it portrayed people being fat as being like slovenly and bad,
Mhm.
and so they like took the thing down like within a week. And so like to think that a couple years ago that happened, but if you go back 15, 20 years, they had something where it would tell you like, "Hey fatty, you're going to die in 5 years."
Yeah, and then they had the
Um,
Frontiers in Medicine area, which was literally talking about different parts of your body, and there was one part where they said, like, hey, if you eat bad things, you're gonna die. So, it was rather interesting.
What was the superhero thing that got
That was
a lot
Habit
of
Heroes.
That was
flack a
Habit
couple years
Heroes.
ago?
And then they retooled it, and then it closed again.
Yeah, Habit Hero.
Yeah, they retooled it and it made it even less entertaining. I don't know if anyone goes in Innoventions. I don't even know if they have it staffed with people working there because
They have about 3 people working it now.
I feel like that's got to be the best gig at Epcot because it's air conditioned.
And nobody
You
goes
don't
in there.
deal
Like,
with anybody. Yeah.
I go in there almost every time I'm there, and it's just like there's barely anybody ever there. It's like it's a nice rest stop area because they have benches, but most of Innoventions is closed, so it's just not even worth going anymore.
Have you ever? Do they have any outlets there so you can plug in your phone?
They have a couple.
I ran into this problem last time I was at Disneyland at Star Wars Launch Bay where I plugged in my phone to an outlet and a cast member walks by and she's like, "Excuse me, you can't plug those in there." And I'm like, okay. And then I looked it up and allegedly, I don't know, people are like, "Oh yeah, it'll break your phone," but I don't know. I'm not buying that. Jordan, what's been your experience recently, or at least last time you were at Disneyland with the whole phone? I think they just want you to buy those tubes
The fuel
that are in the
rods.
dispensers. Yeah, I think it's a whole
Yeah.
racket.
Mm-hmm.
The only one I remember is at the entrance of Pizza. What is it called now?
Aliens
Is this
Pizza,
Pizza
Planet.
now? Because it's
No,
or
it's
was that
still
only
there.
for
They haven't
Pixar
taken it down.
Fest? It's still there. Okay, so yeah, there's a good charging place there. That's all I can think of. What are the best bathrooms?
I like the one near guest relations. There's usually not a lot of people there. What do you like, Martin?
Well,
Well, here you can get wits.
It's
best bathroom to take a shit, and then like nicest design of a bathroom. Because sometimes there's some bathrooms that have like a cool aesthetic going on.
But it's so popular, everyone's there, and he just
Yeah.
can't do
weird
business in
question,
peace.
but
Just
I'd have to say the Imagination bathrooms because they still play the original loops there, and it's still like
oh
done up
crap.
blue like the original Imagination.
You know, I really wish I had gone to the bathroom there. Um, a lot of people really dump on the current Figment ride, and I mean, it is a shell of what the original ride is, but I still enjoy it.
It's
Um,
it's mediocre.
I think it's fun. I think it's fun. I would still take that over them getting rid of it and replacing it with a ride without Figment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I would rather keep that crappy iteration than get like a Inside Out ride,
Yeah, me too.
which is probably what's gonna happen.
I have a
I think the
strong
funniest
feeling
thing.
that they're going to bring back Dreamfinder just to toss us a bone. They will do whatever the heck they want with the rest of Epcot, but they'll just put Dreamfinder there and say, hey, we just appeased the purists, and this will still make money, so...
Well, like they're doing the interim show between when Illuminations closes and whatever the new thing opens. It's like a history of Epcot or Epcot music
Yeah.
nighttime.
I think
And
Chapek's
supposedly
direct
that's
quote
gonna have like
Chapek's direct quote was they said, like, it's going to be a show that has Tomorrow's Child and Magic Journeys, among other Epcot music in it.
but I think there's gonna be some narration by Dreamfinder, whether it's just recycled or if they'll actually get what's his name? Ron Schneider? Is it Ron Schneider or Rob Schneider?
I think it's Ron.
I think it's Ron. Ron. Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I think people, Disney fans, get easily excited anytime they do something like that, and you're 100% right because they can put so little effort and be like, "Hey, we gave you what you wanted," but it's like most of the time when they are giving us stuff, it's like, "Here's a T-shirt or a vinylmation." It's something they can sell. It's not something meaningful,
Mm-hmm.
or yeah. I mean, so part of me thinks,
Like how they're selling People Mover shirts.
yeah. Well, didn't they? Isn't the People Mover at? Don't they call it the People Mover now at Disney World again? Yeah, because for the longest time it was the Tomorrowland Transit Authority, which is what I still call it because I have no nostalgia for the name People Mover.
And now it's
'Cause
the
I don't care.
Tomorrowland Transit Authority People Mover.
Yeah, so now they just put them both together.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be like if they called Disney's Hollywood Studios Disney's MGM Hollywood Studios.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Jordan?
People Mover shirts at the gift shop, the gift kiosk right outside Space Mountain in Disneyland, and it feels, and it's the Disneyland People Mover vehicle too. It feels kind of
Yeah,
feels
well, there's a
wrong to me.
tackiness to it, and this is probably getting annoyed over nothing, but it really bothers me. There's like a culture of them. How do I put this? Well, there's been like a big growth in the amount of people interested in retro Disney stuff, and it's just very exploitative, I would guess, because it's like, oh, I saw a video on YouTube and then I go to Disneyland and I can buy a shirt. And I mean, I've lamented about this on Twitter that I liked, it wasn't that long ago when the Disney community wasn't as big as it is now, and it was really just like weird people online on like message boards. There was no Twitter or Facebook, like sharing pictures they had taken, that they had scanned with their printer and uploaded onto a message board, or sharing ride audio they had recorded. Like, it was very grassroots, and now I feel like it's become a little too corporate, for lack of a better term. Yeah, well, like, but like you, I was talking to Martin on Twitter if he knew who Hoot Gibson was, and like he was the guy. For those who don't know, and it was him and a friend who went on before it closed, Horizons. No, didn't go on once. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of times, and would get off the ride to take pictures and record things, and they uploaded it all online. And it's like that was totally something that would not be able to happen now. But you think about back then when they were doing it, there wasn't an easy way to just find other people who were like super into Horizons and would actually care that it was closing. And like now it's like you go on YouTube and it's like, oh, Defunct Land has a video about Horizons. Oh, great. Now everyone loves Horizons. It's kind of the same thing I feel about Star Wars, which I know is probably stupid because Star Wars has always been popular, but I don't know. I'm a gatekeeper.
Well, it's a little different now because now everyone's mad at each other when it comes to Star Wars.
Yeah, the Disney community hasn't gone into that point yet. It's definitely going there. There's certain people on Diz Twitter who are just so incensed by anything negative said about Disney. It's not there yet, but it's going there. Let me check what I had written down. What were we talking about? Epcot bathrooms, Figment, soda. You can edit this part out, Jordan.
Okay, I won't.
You won't? Alright, thanks. I'm just checking Twitter to see if any news broke.
I'm just gonna ask a question for Martin. What's your favorite extinct Epcot attraction?
Horizons.
Horizons. Okay.
I mean, that's just a generic answer, but
No, it's a good answer.
No, it's okay. It is a good answer.
I'm not really
maybe
a huge
World
Epcot
Emotion.
fan yet, but that one's probably also my favorite. If it wasn't for Spaceship Earth, it's probably second to Spaceship Earth. I mean, Spaceship Earth is still there, but when it comes to iconic Epcot rides.
yeah. And Jeremy Irons' Spaceship Earth.
Oh yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the Judi Dench narration.
Her narration's fine. It's that half of the ride is just looking at a touchscreen.
It seems like
they just
half of the people who talk about Spaceship Earth say, oh, Walter Cronkite is my favorite, or oh, Jeremy Irons is my favorite. Nobody ever says the first or the current one.
Who was the first one again?
I think
Walter
it was...
Cronkite?
No, there's a big debate on whether it was
Oh.
Larry Dobkin or Vic Perrin. I know it was one of them, but I can't remember which one.
Was it Jeremy Irons then Walter Cronkite then?
No, what it was either Vic Perrin or Larry Dobkin. I can't remember which one. I just know that people debate which one. And I know that it's definitive which one did it, but people still argue about it. But then it was Walter Cronkite, then it was Irons, and then it was Judi Dench.
I don't know why I always think of Walter Cronkite as being the definitive one. I mean, I guess that one was for a long time. According to Wikipedia, it was Lawrence Dobkin from 82 to 86. So yeah, that was the shortest run of a narrator. Then Walter Cronkite from 86 to 94. Then Irons from 94 to 2007. And Judi Dench from 2008 to now. Did they close it yet? Because I thought they were going to be redoing it.
No, it's still open.
No, I don't mind her narration. I just think the ride itself, that last half of it, would be much better served with show scenes rather than...
It's pretty
the
terrible,
choose your own
especially when you're
future.
riding it for the 150th time, like me, and just... You don't even bother to hit any of the options.
And I feel like when it opened in 2008, it was trying to be like, you know, oh, hey, you guys have iPhones. Look, we have a touchscreen on here. And I think at that point it was already lame. But now, 10, 11 years later, it's even lamer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like everything in Disney, they don't ever bother to update things unless it's like Haunted Mansion or Pirates of the Caribbean, which is another annoyance of mine, but
It's what
can
I
you
call forced interactivity, where they feel to get their audience invested, they need some sort of interactive device, but I think just a good environment can do that on its own.
Oh, so another great bathroom is in America. To the right of American Adventure, there's a really nice bathroom. It's well themed. It's usually not busy. It's very well air conditioned. That's my favorite Epcot bathroom.
Oh, I have. Okay, so what's your favorite food place at Epcot?
Me?
Either one of you.
Um, I don't normally eat at Epcot, but I really like the Garden Grill. And unpopular opinion, but I like the electric umbrella.
The electric umbrellas, it's corny. It's the food's not good, but
I like
well,
the
the food's
food
okay. Well,
and the atmosphere.
I've
I mean, it's just a quick service that doesn't really have much of an atmosphere.
I wouldn't say the food's bad. Like for the most part, bad food at Disney is still okay.
Hmm.
I mean, maybe a few years ago there used to be really like when you think of bad counter service, there was really bad stuff. But I think for the most part, there's nothing you eat there that's like, oh, this isn't edible.
The
But
worst thing I've ever eaten is
um,
the or at Disney was the Rainforest Cafe at the entrance to Animal Kingdom. I went there once for breakfast, and their eggs were basically just like not edible. It was bad.
well, I mean, does Rainforest Cafe doesn't count
It's
because you
not even
can
a
go
Disney
to that
restaurant.
at
It's just a restaurant on Disney
yeah.
property.
I've heard. Did they ever close that dinosaur restaurant, or is that still there?
The thing at Disney
That's owned by
Springs, that's
yeah,
that's still there.
as I've heard the food's pretty bad there too.
I've never been there.
Whatever there's the company that owns the dinosaur, they own Rainforest Cafe, and they're good at theming, not good at food. So not the best
Yeah.
combination for a restaurant.
Not the
For me,
Disney owned stuff. I haven't really had a bad experience there that I can name.
probably the worst thing I ate, which again it was edible on my last trip, was I got the Darth Vader chicken and waffles at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and they were just chicken nuggets, and the waffles tasted like I don't know, they tasted like waffles I would have had in elementary school, like if they did waffle day at the cafeteria. So those weren't very good, especially for the price. Favorite thing at Epcot is definitely Rose and Crown, if that counts. I mean, that's not counter service, but
What's the best menu item?
at Epcot,
Yeah. Or any
I
of
don't
the
know.
parks, really.
A Dole Whip? I don't know.
Uh, 'Cause when I only went to Epcot one time in 2010, I believe, and I really regret not knowing as much as I do now, because I didn't do American Adventure. Um, I didn't do Journey. I knew even back then I knew Journey wasn't what it used to be, but I still regret not doing it. But the one I think the food I got there was the teriyaki at the Japanese pavilion and the fish and chips at the British pavilion. I'm gonna have to recommend that if they still serve that. I'm guessing they still do.
Yeah, that's. I mean, at Rose and Crown, that's what I got there.
Oh, that's Rose and
It's
Crown. Okay, got it.
well, but they have a counter service like part of it, but I went in and sat down. Um, this a Disney burger is a Disney burger, but I think the best Disney burger I had was at the American Adventure. So they have a nice like indoor seating area. It was, dare I say, better than the First Order burger, which is also a good burger, but slightly better.
The best burger used to be at Whitewater Rapids Snacks at the Grand Californian. They had a carnitas burger. It was a burger, but it had shredded carnitas meat and guacamole on top, and it was the best, probably the best thing you could get in the entire park. And then they got rid of it, and I haven't ate inside Disneyland since they got rid of that.
I really liked. What was the thing I got with you at I don't even know what the place was called in New Orleans Square. What was the place we went to?
Oh, the quick service. the French. I don't know why it's escaping me right now. Because there's two.
I think I got like a
Cafe
pulled
Orleans?
pork or
I think
something.
it's Cafe Orleans. Or no, the French
I don't,
Market restaurant.
it's one of the two. I think I got it was like a pulled pork sandwich. I think that's what it was. That was really good. And then I forget what it came with, but they weren't fries, but they were I don't know what they were called. They were like
Y-
potato circles.
Oh yeah, they had like a special type of chip or plantain or something. But
Yeah.
yeah, the
Oh,
French
and then you
Market.
show me the trick where when you're checking out, and if you ask them for a thing of the car not caramelized onions, they were like, well, I guess they were
No, the
caramelized.
crispy
They're like
onion
onion
straws.
rings. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just say like, "Hey, give me one," they'll give you one, and they won't charge you for it. Well, other than the price of your meal. So that's a trick. Um,
What are some Epcot tricks and hacks that you two know of?
Um,
um, the only one I can think of is everyone knows is there's free soda at Club Penguin Cool or whatever it's called. I don't remember.
um,
Which I did try Beverly, and it was very disgusting.
I don't really have any like tips and tricks because normally when I go there, I don't go straight for the e-tickets or anything. Like that's a big one. Like go there at rope drop, but that's obvious. But for me, I just rope drop Spaceship Earth because it's like the best time of day to do it, or like late at night. And then uh another thing is unless you're like going there and it's a well planned out trip, it's like your only trip in a year. I just book one fast pass, and then once I'm done with that attraction, book another one, and just keep going with that. You don't.
Seems like a
This
good
is
idea.
kind of a neat fun thing you can do is if you go up to people around the entrance of Epcot, you just go up to them and point out to them the leave a legacy, and just say, "Isn't it nice to put a 9/11 memorial here?"
Hmm.
And the reaction you always get is like, "Oh wow, what?" So that's funny. I
I'll try
enjoy
that next
doing
time.
that. I this is an unrelated trick, but I used to like when a fast pass, anyone who had that ticket, like you didn't need your ticket to get back in, you just needed the fast pass ticket, and I miss that. Well, especially at Disney World, you can't do it because it's all with the fast pass plus. But like I liked, you would get a fast pass, and then it's like I don't feel like going on this, and just give it to someone.
Hmm.
I did that leaving California Adventure, and I gave a guy. I saw a couple, and I gave them a Soarin' Fast Pass. Of course, it was one, so if anything, I created a problem for them. But hopefully, if what they could have done is do a trick like, "Oh, she lost hers. Can you just let us on?"
Yeah, I meant we
Which
did that a couple
it's hit or
times.
miss. Well, we tried it, and they didn't buy it. But
It works for a
didn't we
larger
do?
party of people.
It doesn't work for guys. 20-year-old
That's
guys,
true.
they're like piss off, like because I had my Star Tours, and then you like tapped your thing, and it's like, "Hey, it's not working. What's going on?" And they're just looking at you like, piss off.
There used to be an app
But
where you could connect with other people in the park, and you could barter and trade fast passes.
there used to be an underground scene on eBay where people would sell fast passes to people who didn't realize they were like limited to 1 hour. Like they didn't realize they weren't just good for whenever.
Oh, it's kind of sad.
I'm trying to think some more Disney tricks.
Recently, I learned
Epcot,
Smash Mouth was at Epcot. They did
they
All
are.
Star. They were for the Garden Rocks.
Oh yeah, the bands they have there are usually like very washed out. Most of the time, it's more like '70s stuff though.
Yeah, they have the Eagles and Village People. I would love to see All Star played live at Epcot though. That would be a cool experience.
They have that weird the Guardians of the Galaxy stage show at American Adventure, and it
that
really sucks.
I didn't
Um,
think it
it
sucked.
really
It was okay, but it's been over for like what 6 months
well
now. Nah, not
It
six
really took me
months.
out of. You would walk out of the American Adventure after having like a really stirring patriotic show,
Yeah, and then
and
you just
then you
hear
just
them
walk out
blaring.
and you're looking at it. And I don't know what it has to do with America or
Well,
adventures.
Nothing.
it's an American movie,
Yeah,
and
I
we're
guess.
currently in America, so I say it fits. Keep it in there. Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, Martin, what do you think about the direction Epcot is going in, and what changes would you make personally?
Good God, don't even get me started. I'm like one of those just one of those annoying people on Diz Twitter that constantly complain about Epcot. But
One of
the
us.
the Guardians coaster, it's probably going to be at least an okay coaster. It's probably going to be a good ride. I'm excited for it, but I just hate that it's at Epcot. And
All right, show's over.
I miss Ellen's Energy Adventure, although it was highly dated. But I just wish they would have updated it and put Guardians over at Hollywood Studios. As
Yeah,
far
I
as
think that's.
yeah, as far as the direction that Epcot is going, I'm just not very happy about it. The future for it just looks bleak, and I don't think we're gonna get anything good until Chapek steps down.
Maybe even Iger, but who knows how long they're
Yeah.
gonna stay in there.
And even then, that's like hit or miss because you could get somebody else in there who also doesn't care.
Yeah, it'll take a miracle for it to kind of appease people like us.
Yeah, and I mean,
Did you see the picture? Sorry, you can finish.
Oh, you go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, did you see the picture of the ride vehicle for Galaxy's Edge?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I this is my first time seeing it. I didn't.
They put that out in like D23 2017, so it's not really new
Oh,
news.
they did. Oh, whoops.
But they did release a new one with a full-size one because they released the image of a model, but they over Christmas I think they showed the kind of it in action.
You know that ride is gonna be such a. It's probably gonna be really cool, but it's also gonna be a big mess, um, accessibility wise. Because I mean, from what I was always hearing, I don't know if it's still the case, but like at some point in the ride, you get off the vehicle and you have to like escape to somewhere else.
I think that
I've
was an
also heard
early
stuff that you might
concept.
get
I
like.
don't know if that's actually going to happen.
Yeah, I have a theory that they changed that and they realized it would be too difficult to implement.
Yeah,
I would
and
hope so.
there would be accessibility issues too.
Because this is with a lot of the new stuff they make. Um, I mean, this doesn't affect me personally, but they'll make a ride, and then once the ride gets built and is open, then they're like, "Hey, operations, you figure out how to get a wheelchair on there." Someone I'm friends with on Facebook posted the ramp they have to help people, with disabilities get on the Avatar ride, not the boat ride, Rivers of whatever. Um, and it was like, oh, that doesn't look safe. And it's like a little wooden a little wooden crate they have, and it's like, hey, just crawl up on this, and we'll throw you on the boat and enjoy the ride.
It's weird because I actually am sort of looking forward to the Guardians coaster because I think Guardians of the Galaxy did deserve a roller coaster. I don't think because when they announced Mission Breakout, I think Guardians deserved more than a retheme of an elevator ride. But I think a coaster is a perfect fit, so I'm really excited to see how it's going to turn out. But it just doesn't fit, and that's kind of also how I feel about Star Wars, but to a lesser extent. Like it's going to be really cool. I feel like it's a kind of a clash of interests.
That the Guardians building that they're building for the ride is absolutely massive.
It's kind of ugly too, but I don't know what.
Yeah.
But I've only seen aerial shots of it though.
Well, did either of you have any final thoughts to say before I lose my voice? And before we end the episode?
Thank you for joining us, Martin Short, for a very amateurish and messy podcast.
No problem.
Just be sure when we post this, give us a link on the old Twitter so your friends can see it.
Yeah.
On the old Twitter, the Twittery do. Oh my god.
Okay.
It's kind of sloppily done, but a podcast is a podcast.
Are you okay,
Oh
Zach?
my. Yeah, I got something in my throat.
Okay.
Yikes.
Well, I guess we'll
Alright.
leave on that note of Zach dying.
Alright. See you next time. Veggie, fruit.
Veggie fruit, veggie fruit, veggie fruit, veggie fruit.